Hey, Myles here at Untitled Hyve, and today I want to talk to you about a product that is very near and dear to my heart, and that is the ASP, or the Armament Systems and Procedures Metro Defender 1 and 2. It's a pepper spray. So if you're interested in learning about this product, stay tuned. All right, welcome back. So as I mentioned, this pepper spray and I have a lot of history. People who know me in high school and in college knew that I carried, my friends knew that I carried this everywhere I went. And it really was something that was with me all the time. So even when I was, like 16, 17, I didn't have a gun or anything like that. This is what I carried, among some other things. So when I was contacted by ASP to, get some product in our hands and do a review, I was quite surprised because it's interesting because I never really knew what ASP stood for. They stand for Armament Systems and Procedures. So when they reached out, that's the name that I, read, but I didn't know. It never really occurred to me, ASP. And when I realized that they're the same company, I was all over it because, again, this is something I've used. I know very well. I know it very intimately. So I was definitely on board and I want to get my hands on the Defender and learn about, what the company has been doing, since before I wasn't part of Untitled Hyve and never started it. And before, this is the only model that they had. And so I've learned that they have a lot more. So I want to talk a little bit about it. So the ASP Defender is pepper spray in these containers here. They have two different sizes now and styles. It's a simple pepper spray to use. There is a vial here, an insert here with the OC or the pepper spray, and it's dispersed through the end here. So it's shot out by pressing down on this knob here, okay? I don't even know what you would actually call it, but then it shoots out a cone, which, we'll talk about all the features a little bit later. They have another size here. Now it's smaller, so it's not as conspicuous as this. And there's also a clip that you can use if maybe you want to clip it somewhere. When I was carrying this around, all I had was this, so exactly what you see here. There's a safety device here, which I'll also talk about. So there's a safety, you take out the safety, then you can press down and fire that spray. When people ask me what my favorite pepper spray is, this is it by far. Again, we have a lot of history, but this is something I know works and it's very practical. So let's dive into kind of some of the features here. So the containers are specifically made, they're purpose built to dispense chemical irritants like an OC spray. They aren't like your traditional pepper spray where they just use aerosol cans and they put the pepper spray in a traditional aerosol can. So in terms of reliability, function, its effectiveness, this again is purpose built so that it's going to be reliable and it's going to do exactly what you want when you want it to. Regardless of which one you get, both of them are extremely potent. They both have 2 million Scoville heat units. And believe me when I tell you, that is more than enough to put your threats down. It doesn't take very long to actually work. Now, of course, some of the things with pepper spray, and we'll dive into this more a little bit later, some safety precautions, depending on, your possible threat. Some people don't react the same way to pepper spray, and some people might be high on vitamins and chemicals and not even react. So just keep that in mind, and again, we'll talk about that a little bit later on. The Defender 2 is the bigger one here, and this is the Defender 1. They both will shoot a coned spray, right? Which I find better than just a stream. So it actually shoots out a spread here, a nice fine cone mist of a pepper spray. They both shoot up to a effective distance of 5 feet. And this will shoot 12 half-second bursts and this 6 half-second bursts, which is recommended. So if you're shooting a cone of pepper spray, you don't want to just keep your finger on it because if it's windy, that pepper spray is going to go right back at you. And it doesn't take a lot to get the effect out of pepper spray. So if you had a threat within 3 to 5 feet and you do a half-second shot, that's all you need. Doing more or spraying them more is not really going to have a more powerful effect. So that's really all you need. And as I talked about, I like the spread better, the cone, rather than a stream because there's less margin of error, just like a shotgun if you were shooting bird shot. So if you're in panic and stressed and someone's right in front of you, get that out there, one quick shot. You don't really have to worry where that stream is going. This is going to get them no matter what, especially at that distance. It's really up close, so it's going to be hard to miss. Unlike a lot of different pepper sprays out there, the container itself is robust, and this can be used as a striking weapon. It's made out of aluminum and brass, where a lot of different pepper sprays, it's just, again, it's an aerosol can, so it's not really going to be effective as a striking tool. So imagine if, worst comes to worst, you need to hit somebody. Well, this is a nice, really small, concentrated piece of metal that you can strike someone with. So it can actually be pretty painful depending on where you hit, especially if it's soft tissue, even bone. You could possibly hurt someone there. And if you have keys on this too, it's not something that is going to really, neutralize the threat, but it's a distraction, and maybe getting the keys in their eyes, things like that. Again, not the end all be all, but I like this because other pepper sprays don't have those added potential features that could save your life. I already alluded to how these are really simple to use. So for example, you're walking around the street, you could have it in your hand like this, and it's just natural. Maybe your keys are hanging out, even the smaller version right here. And there's a safety, which again, you just latch it with your thumb or take it out like this, and it's ready to go. So you'd be walking around, if your spidey senses are tingling already, you're walking around, going to your car or whatever, maybe you see a potential threat and you're kind of worried, then take out the safety and just get ready to dispense the pepper spray. And it's super simple. All you gotta do is press down with your thumb. So unlike the normal pepper sprays that you see out there where you're shooting this way, like an aerosol can, like you're spraying something like a cleaner or whatever it is, or an air freshener. This, I also like that you're in a fighting position when you're shooting this. And once you have your hands up, the pepper spray is not gonna go in your face, it's gonna go directly towards your threat, keeping your hands up. This also prevents you from, or helps prevent you from getting striked by your threat, potentially, because your hands are up. Now, of course, if you don't know self-defense or things like that, you might just naturally get your hands up, and that's better than keeping your hands down or right here where, again, with the Defender, your hands are up. You can actually go hands-on as well if you know hand-to-hand. So I really like the very fact that this puts you in a natural fighting position, and that's one of the features that sold me when I first saw this years ago when I was in high school. You can be in this natural fighting position, prevent yourself from getting hit, create space with your mace, and even creating space. If you are a gun owner, you can also go for your pistol while they're distracted with the pepper spray, if you need to escalate it to that next level of, for the lack of a better word, violence. If you do need to do that, you can. And if you ever have to escalate it to that next level where you have to use your firearm, and even if you use just your pepper spray, not an actual pistol, you could encounter some legal issues. So make sure you are legally protected. And our friends at CCW Safe, they offer the highest caliber of self-defense protection. So make sure to check them out in the description below. The last thing for me, and probably the biggest benefit, was that it was easily concealable. So back then, YouTube wasn't huge. And I'm not talking about this. Maybe a lot of people will have this tomorrow, and I do highly recommend it. But back then, no one knew what this was. And I would always carry my keys outside of my pocket, right? So my keys would just be dangling here outside of my pocket. So when I saw this was perfect because you put your keys here. And so no one would know that this was pepper spray. Just like this. My keys would just dangle right here. It doesn't matter if I use this one or this one, it's the same thing, and this one even has a clip these days. So it would dangle right here, and if I needed it, if my keys were hanging here, I could pull on my keys and it was right there, ready to go, easy to deploy. Doesn't matter what kind of pocket. Sometimes I would put it here in my back pocket here, and again, the keys would just hang out. No one knew what it was. It was concealed. And even if this position piqued someone's curiosity, when they saw this, they saw it was just maybe like some keychain or something like that, because you can't really see it. That applies mainly for people who are wearing pants, so it's actually easy. And if it doesn't seem out of the ordinary for you to hang your keys out there, that was what I did, and was just super simple. Very easy to access as well, because again, remember, I would hook around the keys, lift it up, that safety was right there, and I could dispense the pepper spray when needed. So very easy to use, very concealable. So there's a lot to like about the ASP Metro Defender 1 and 2. And, I try to really think about, was there anything, that I experienced that was bad, that, I didn't really like? And the truth is, I can't think of anything, especially when comparing to the different options out there. But if I were forced, like I was really put in a corner, I had to pick something I didn't like, it would probably be that after the pepper spray is dispensed, that if you open up this container, you're going to see that the actual heat insert is here, okay? And it sprays out the end, some pepper spray residue will remain at the very end. So what you'll have to do is you'll have to clean it up. So this one you can actually take this off, and then you would have to clean this off. So just to make sure that the insert would shoot a fine spray rather than having something clogged in there in this little peephole here. So pepper spray is great, and I highly recommend the Defender. But let's talk about some few tips here. When you are using pepper spray, I already alluded to that you don't have to shoot a lot, right? And this cone, that cone of spray is going to really help you shoot your threat if needed, right? So really quick bursts. The next thing you need to remember is, and this has happened to me, where if you stay there in the cone of the spray or in the vicinity, you potentially can get some of that pepper spray on you, and it's not pleasant, okay? So what you want to do is after you take that brief shot, know that, again, your threat might not go down immediately. Normally it takes some time, okay? So you need to create distance. You're going to get that spray off, create distance, perhaps even run. If they come towards you after being sprayed, that's when you can potentially give them another shot, right? But all the while, you need to continue moving, okay? Don't just stay there, shoot them once, and then realize that, okay, or think that they're fine. No, it might take 30, 60 seconds for the pepper spray to act on somebody. Continue to move, okay? So that's very important. Next tip is to be ready, right? You don't want to know that you're being threatened right at that very moment, okay? Don't be surprised. If at all possible, and you've heard this on this channel many a times or on our social media accounts, you have to have that proper situational awareness, okay? That's where everything starts. That's more important than the hard skills of knowing how to use this, right? Be aware. And so if you're walking to your car, and build good habits. If you know you're walking to your car and you're afraid or something might already have this out with your keys, okay? And if you identify a threat already, take the safety off, get ready, put your thumb over here, get ready, okay? And the most important thing is you have to practice this. Now, you do not need to use the inserts. Like I just showed you, there's an actual insert there. They call them the heat inserts, but they also offer test inserts. I highly recommend you use them because it's just like gun owners. Many gun owners, they'll buy a gun, but they'll probably shoot only 100 rounds in a year. And do you think they will be ready for a chaotic, real-life, deadly conflict or incident? It's unlikely. So you need to practice. Don't just think that, okay, I've done this, I know what's going to happen. No, get the test inserts, try it out, see what the spray does, see what the environments are like. So if you are spraying in the wind, that can be very bad. So you need to practice to potentially understand where the wind is blowing. Of course, in certain situations, you're not going to think about that anymore, but you need to understand that there are variables that you need to consider. You only get that through training. And their test inserts are very easy to use. You're just going to unscrew this just like I showed you, and then you would insert a test insert there. And that is going to give you the opportunity to understand the behavior of the actual pepper spray and understand the true distance of how far it is going. That's going to be very important because clearly you don't want to waste your pepper spray if someone's very far, and you need to understand where that cone, how far it shoots out. So make sure you get that training in. 2 additional tips here. When you get any kind of pepper spray, it is a good idea, even regardless of, we're not talking about the test inserts here, just to make sure it works, okay? So we know that this has 12 sprays, this has 6 sprays. You still want to test it once. Of course, don't test it on yourself for anybody, your friends or your family, all right? Well, I don't know, maybe you want to, I don't know. But test it out just to make sure it works and you didn't get a dud, okay? But then after that, don't waste it. The last tip has to do with kind of concealability and kind of how you're storing it. Now, I addressed how I worked it, and because you'll generally see me with my keys hanging out. Until this day, that still works for me. But perhaps you're not a pants person, or you don't have a lot of pockets, or perhaps you are a woman and you're carrying a bag. You need to consider how you're going to get to this pepper spray. Okay, so it goes back to training and thinking about things, putting yourself in different situations. But I will say that another carry position that I have used, this was typically when I had to wear jogging pants, that worked out just well too. Because you'll have keys here, it will insert right here into your waist pocket and it'll just hang here. It's not going to go anywhere. So you can use it also covered. Okay, so basically putting your shirt over it or any garment. So hopefully those tips help you out. Regardless of the pepper spray you're using, it's extremely important that you train. So if you're in the market for pepper spray, I highly recommend ASP and the Defender 1 or 2, depending on just your lifestyle and kind of how you might want to conceal these. I know they work. I know they are effective. I know they are reliable. They've lasted, gosh, when I used it in high school and college, I had a black one, and the only thing that happened was just wear and tear. The the kind of like the black would just fade. So you can see a little bit of silver, but that was that was it. Other than that, it functioned perfectly. It lasted forever. So make sure to check them out in the description or right up here. That wraps up this review. I hope you liked it. This is a product, again, that's near and dear to my heart. I do think that, now it's on my radar again. I don't know why I forgot about this, after college. Once I got into business and law school, maybe, I didn't really think about that because I was just a hermit. I was always in studying my ass off. But now, they're on my radar again. I can't believe I forgot about them. And so definitely, I highly recommend it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Maybe there's a pepper spray you like better that I don't know of, but I'd love to know. And if you like the video, please give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. See you guys next time.